I want to make financial insights more accessible to everyone, like a democratization, as I call it, of financial insights and technology. I'm Rusu, I'm the founder and CEO at LENSELL.
LENSELL is a research-driven investment technology that helps global investors and investment professionals gain unique insight into their investment portfolios with modern technology solutions.
It's a matter of speeding up and making things faster in a sense of being able to, let's say, run more scenarios, look at more portfolios, help more clients in a shorter interval of time. I think, as I mentioned, people just tend to jump into something without looking at what they get into. You care about the level of risk you take, and you care about how you can mix your investments better, things like that. So you don't just want to buy something and sleep on it. It's a matter of being ambitious, I would say, as well. And don't lose faith if maybe you meet with some rejection at the beginning. It's just a matter of having the time and resources to add all these features. I think now it's a bit more difficult. I would say that they need to follow their dream, their passion.
Where big dreams meet bold action. Where we share real stories, actionable insights, and the inspiration needed to transform your ideas into businesses. Are you ready to turn your ideas into success and be an inspiration to others? Join Inspirepreneur.
I'm Rusu, I'm the founder and CEO at LENSELL. LENSELL is a research-driven investment technology platform where we help experienced retail investors and investment professionals make better decisions with data and technology. So I'm originally from Romania. I did my bachelor and master's in Romania in computer science and economics. I worked there for a few years, getting some experience, and then I moved to Australia to study for a master's by research at La Trobe University. Then, so this was 20 years ago, 21 soon, a long time ago, but it seems like yesterday. So in La Trobe I started master by research in computer science department, and then I upgraded to a PhD in computer science. I wasn't really sure about my subject at the time, but eventually it was something that I really liked about XML, like extensible markup language for people who know about it, and data warehousing and data mining. I had a great supervisor, Dr. Wayne Rahayur. She's professor now and a dean of a school. So it was a great experience, 5 years intensive, while I was also working for a software development company. What can I say? It was difficult, but it was a very interesting, challenging 10 years of my life, studying and working. Eventually, after I finished, I did a postdoctoral degree with Air Services Australia at La Trobe as well. I worked in a computer share, technology services, then for, I think, 8 years. After that, I moved to IBM Research, where I worked in a lot of projects, from emergency management to healthcare to blockchain and many other areas, and financial services towards the end, where sort of links to my current business in a way. And I left IBM Research in 2019 to go to Monash University in La Trobe, where I was a lecturer for a year. In 2020, with the COVID, it wasn't really good year for many people, but luckily, I was, me and my husband were healthy and were okay, and used this time to think about potential, ideas and how we could have a business related to my passion in technology and especially in financial services. So yeah, that's it's a short version of many years. So actually, my passion was for mathematics. Since I was very young, I liked mathematics a lot, and then physics. So all my subjects in school were around very exact sciences, mathematics, physics, and so on. So because of that, I liked more, I like technology. So this is why I went to computer science degree in the university. So it was a focus on Bachelor of Economics, but we focus on economic information science, economic computer science. Why? It's just me, and my father sort of instilled my passion for mathematics and all these exact sciences. And I realize now that not many girls and women have this passion, which is a pity in a way. So I would encourage, girls who like mathematics to go and study a subject which is, even if it, seems a bit dry, but it's very exciting if you then manage to apply everything that you learn in in your job and future career. So it wasn't really technology from beginning, but it transformed and life takes you to places. When I went first time to do computer science, I wasn't really convinced that I did the right choice. I had the right choice, but then it proved that it was. So it was, I think, a combination of factors. So first, during all my entire career, I worked in many very interesting projects, as I mentioned, in IBM research, with many very smart people. We developed things which were quite unique, and were coming with solutions to very challenging problems in different areas. So that was for 8 years. That was my thinking mode: how to innovate in a sense of coming with solutions to problems that other people didn't solve before. So making things better, faster, solving, as I said, problems that were challenging for many years. And because of that, I thought, this was first factor I mentioned. Secondly, as an investor myself, so myself and my husband wanted to invest, we realized that there are not so many tools for individuals who want to invest, and they didn't have much insight into what they can do, what risk they took with their investments, what they can expect from their investments. Everything you could find was just applications to go and trade, to buy and sell. There are so many applications of that kind, which is good, but there are not as many applications to give you deeper insight. And for people who, as I mentioned, with a bit more scientific mind or exact mind like myself, and there are many people, they want to know more, they want to understand more. But you don't want to jump into something to invest, put your money in without knowing what you could expect. So now these two factors. So I saw a need for this sort of analytics, portfolio analytics, that are easy to understand by regular people, regular investors. And on the other side, the technology, which I mentioned, I came across, and I realized that we can use a lot of that technology to solve this problem of portfolio analytics, making things available to retail investors. And through my studies, I was aware that there is a lot of innovation and very high technology in investment banks or other big firms who afford to have big teams of data scientists and technologists. But for the retail investors or for smaller firms, they didn't have access to those, state-of-the-art technology. So my idea was to bring my background in technology and data science and solve some of these problems that exist for retail investors and for smaller advisory firms or smaller businesses in these financial services, who have to do this every day anyway for their own clients, for themselves, if they're investors. So yeah, I thought combining this, bringing into easy to understand visual applications that can be used by anyone at different levels of knowledge. So the entire platform, which is now it's not very big, but it's bigger than before, of course, it keeps growing. So we actually started with, first it was a small application where we wanted to visualize pollution from ISS-listed companies. They report to government through National Pollution Inventory and National Energy Database. And we wanted to build something where people could see what companies report. It was just a simple thing of like awareness for citizens, everyone, to see what companies report in terms of toxic substances polluting the air, the water, or the land. It wasn't really like a business idea. We were planning to sell this or do anything, but because I came across this data through an accounting course I did, and I came to know about this data being available, like open data, I thought, why not kind of bring it up to to light and making people aware of this. So that was like a project with some friends from La Trobe University, and we wanted to create that. So initially it was just for everyone. Then, as I mentioned earlier, with my husband, we identified this need for more insight into portfolio management. What do you actually get into when you buy or sell something? How much risk you take, or what can you expect? And not only that, but once you do, like you make an investment, how often do you want to look at it? How often can you, should you change it? I mean, there seem simple questions, but they are not so simple to look at how you can rearrange your investments to get the most of them. So that was the second application I started to create. It's called DiversiView, and looks at, initially was just looking at how diversified your portfolio is. How, if you invest in different things, in different, let's say just listed companies, it's not, I mean, it's good to say, well, I invest in, let's say, banks or energy or transportation or a mix of everything to be diversified. But in the end, the science is really deeper, so you need to look at how these investments, are correlated without getting into too much technicalities. But it's a matter of looking deeper, not just high level of what industries you invest in. So that was the first step, trying to show visually to people how different investments correlate to each other. So when they looked, they could understand how diversified their portfolio is. Because you want to have a diversified portfolio to take low risk. So that was a very simple version of our application, which is the main application. And from there we started to add different features, looking different performance indicators, how you calculate how your portfolio performed so far, but how you calculate how much you expect your portfolio to perform in future. And then, as I mentioned, one very important question, which is really critical for advisors as well, and financial planners and others, is how would you go about rebalancing your investments? Do you need to move money from one investment to another as markets change? Because markets fluctuate, they don't stay still. So how do you optimize these allocations to make the most of your money or investments? And then how often you rebalance to keep on top of things. So we continue to add these sort of features, which are quite new and I would say quite unique on the market. And this is not, it's, to be honest, it's not my innovation. It's a very old financial research. It's called modern portfolio theory. The first person who came across is called Harry Markowitz. He got Nobel Prize for this theory, which is a very mathematic theory behind. And he showed that if you want to have a diversified portfolio which maximizes your returns, minimizes your risk, you need to consider how you allocate this money between investments. So this very strong theory, financial theory, stays at the base, and I brought some the techniques, technologies that exist, including up-to-date technologies like AI, some AI technologies, to make this financial research available to people. Because it was very dry and very sophisticated and only available to financial professionals who maybe studied in university about this theory, and regular people weren't really aware of it. And we try to, in this way, to do a bit of education as well, explaining people why it's important to look at these matters, but also helping them with the application to calculate all these allocations and optimize their portfolios, because they wouldn't be able to do it themselves on Excel or some other way. So it built up from a tiny application at the beginning, as I said, a diversification portfolio viewer, to a much more complex application, which is now used by financial advisors, wealth managers, and many other professionals, as well as experienced investors who want to manage their own portfolios. And we aim to be global in a sense of having different markets on the application. So people who want to invest, for example, in Australia and in United States or in India or Europe, and they want to diversify, internationally, they could, look at this mixed portfolio and do this sort of analysis for a wider range of investments, not just one set of stocks. So we started with Australian securities on the application, then we added the US securities, Indian securities, and mutual funds, Hong Kong, London Stock Exchange, and we'll add some more. As we grow, as we partner with more, users and clients, we'll add some more markets to respond to different needs. I think AI will not replace, at least for a while, the human interaction first. So because when people make investments, they either trust themselves if they have a good, professional background and they know what they are looking for, they do it themselves. Or they want to trust someone, so they go to an advisor. And when they go to an advisor, the most important, of course, the advisor will have their professional, knowledge and experience, but the most important is the relationship. So they will trust that advisors to give them good advice. So the technology, in my opinion, will come to help either the experienced investors who do it themselves, or the advisor who do this, activity for their clients. To be honest, at this stage, I don't think AI is there to say, well, just click a button and do everything. You will click a button to help you do things faster, to do all these calculations. For example, we can analyze portfolios, large portfolios up to 40 securities in minutes, while it's humanly impossible to do it on paper or in other ways by someone. So it's a matter of speeding up and making things faster in a sense of being able to, let's say, run more scenarios, look at more portfolios, help more clients in a shorter interval of time. So it's a tool rather than just replacing, in my opinion. Maybe in 10, 20 years time, things will change dramatically because now things change every day. In our application, we also use, behind all this optimization engine, there are AI technologies. So it's not AI in the sense of LLM, like everyone knows now about ChatGPT or others. There are AI technologies which help us to deal with very large amounts of data, because when you optimize a portfolio of, let's say, 20 securities, you will have tens of millions of combinations you can do. And to deal with that very large space of data, you need some specific technologies. So we use AI technologies, and then we use some of the more, modern, like AI, generative AI technologies to create, for example, voice summary of your portfolio analysis. Let's say you schedule your analysis in the tool, and when you are busy, you have to drive somewhere or commute by train, and you want to listen to that summary instead of going to read a long report. So you can do this AI summary audio. So as I said, I think it's helpful to help people more than just replace what is done now. But to be honest, the other side is also important, that how it's done now, it's a bit outdated. People tend to use old methods, sometimes finger in the air, sometimes just based on experience. So at the same time, I think technology can have a very big input into making all this advice process more like modern and more accurate as well. Not just faster, but more accurate as well. So I think I want to make financial insights more accessible to everyone, like a democratization, as I call it, of financial insights and technology. As I mentioned, I know and I'm aware that very big banks or financial institutions and investment banks and others will have their own teams of data scientists and others who can come up with all these models to analyze and optimize and predict and others. But there are not things that anyone can do. So regular investors and smaller businesses do not have access to that. So I want to make the same level of technology, or even better than they have now, accessible to everyone, in a sense of everyone who wants to use it. So it's not really a technology that can be used by a novice. So if you just started in investing, it wouldn't make sense for you. You probably wouldn't understand everything. But if you are an experienced investor and you care about, like I said, the level of risk you take, and you care about how you can mix your investments better, things like that, so you don't just want to buy something and sleep on it, then you can use it. You can be in Australian investor or US or Indian or somewhere else. As I said, people now want to diversify. They want to invest in different places. So it could be someone from Mumbai or Hong Kong, or someone who invests somewhere, or they can use the tool. So it's we aim to be a global application. We do not as McKinsey. So we are, I guess, more into the business consulting, management consulting sort of thing. We have plans to expand to more to the business users, where we help wealth managers, for example, who don't have time and are very busy, help them do all this optimization, all this activity. We can do it for them, so more like a consulting role through the technology. I think it will be a mix. It will be maybe not half, but a mix of SaaS, like software as a service for anyone who want to use it online, and these specialized services for wealth managers and others. They would have different needs because they are professionals. They have their own, of course, knowledge and skills. So what they need is help with technology to solve things, while investors will have different sort of needs. So we try to address both. I DeepSeek just a bit. I played with it. I have more experience with ChatGPT. I find, as I mentioned, that they are very good tools for summarization of knowledge. So, of course, the idea behind it initially was to deal with very large amounts of information. So I have lots of documents. The internet is very, huge, and how to find things and how to summarize them for people. So people started to use it to search for, from list of, restaurants to anything else, or very deep subject, knowledge. Now with generative AI, with creating videos and images and everything, and text, of course, again, it's used in all sorts of places for content, from marketing, even arts. I saw artists who use AI to maybe bring some input into their work. It keeps changing, but it's very hard to predict where it will go. With DeepSeek, as I said, I don't have a lot of experience. I know it's claimed to be better or more deeper than ChatGPT. It's like a battle between them, but I think all of them, and the OpenAI company and DeepSeek, and everyone is trying to progress and to get to that level where AI should be or would be, where it's intelligence that does things by itself. So that's why AI, artificial intelligence, is not something that we just tell what to do or train. It starts to train itself. So I think it progresses every day. How it will impact our business, I don't know. It's really nobody will know. Nobody knows how it will impact their own businesses. So people in marketing saw that it impacted their business because many people come and create content very easily, or people in in arts as well. But technology anyway impacts all areas of all industries. So from healthcare to transportation, everywhere you have some piece of technology. How much will be AI in each of those pieces is very hard to say. It's probably also a matter of how open an industry or another is open to technology and open to disruption. Some may be disrupted more easy than others. Probably depends on how people are open to embrace technology. To be honest, I would say in financial services, we don't see yet, at least in Australia, a lot of opening. There are countries, to be honest, when I was in India, I noticed much more opening to technologies and trying new things, see how it works and just maybe apply it if it works well. While in Australia it's still a bit more traditional, and the trust in technology maybe is not as high as other places. My previous patents were, most of them, I mean all of them, at IBM Research. We had a team of, everyone could come up with ideas, and there was a team which sort of looked at them and see how novel they are, how different from previous work, what sort of business they solve or solution, what it brings. And it was a bit of a competition at IBM who came with more patents and more ideas. So it was really a good brain activity because everyone tried to solve something interesting, not just because we cannot get a patent just if you submit it. It has to be something new. So in that one, it also forced you to think about novel things. And yeah, most of them are around data analytics and for example, I remember one was about how to train robots to gesticulate like a human, but without giving certain instructions. So don't say, you know, look up or look down or move a hand or something, but the robot will learn what moves they have to make based on the context. So let's say if you're talking about sun, the robot will know sun is up in the air, in the, you know, the sky. It will know the sun is round, so it'll make a gesture like, you know, some round shape in up and things like that. So how you come up with, and maybe some of this were already implemented, you know, because as I said, this was like 5 or 6 or more years ago, and by now things have changed, and probably some of these are implemented. The awards are probably more for the patents activity, and for IBM had like an excellence award, so like doing, you know, good work. I guess it's just making doing your job and maybe a bit more than that. But yeah, it's just for professional activity, I would guess. So first, the Australian market as such, financial market, is much smaller than ours, which is a fact. Much smaller compared with US, of course, but other countries as well. And it's a bit slow, I would say, in terms of, for example, many Australians are looking to invest here. Just recently, people started to look overseas for investments. I don't know by kind of top of my mind, but there are different stats where people are looking where people invest. And I read recently in a share site article that you know, people started to invest more in US and Hong Kong and other like Singapore, so, or, you know, Asian markets. While in other markets like US, there is a much more opening about going, you know, everywhere, investing internationally. So because of course US is older market, is much bigger, many more potential investments from VCs, many more startups and people coming with ideas. So it's a bigger competition, I would guess. So it is very different. And unfortunately, when businesses in Australia come up with a very interesting idea and they start to grow, they have to access VC money, and because there is not much VC here environment, they go to US. So many of the US companies may be from some other countries. They just went there just because it's a much stronger VC environment. Ourselves, we haven't raised VC money so far, funding. We plan to do sometime in future, but I know from our friends and our business owners and founders that it's quite difficult to raise here, and they look somewhere else, which is a pity in a way, but hopefully things will change. We are a bootstrap company, so we use our own money, myself and my husband, and it's quite difficult because you have to, have expenses. You cannot build something by yourself, so you have to hire people. And when you hire people, you have just commitments like salaries and superannuation and things like that, which you have to make. At the same time, I would say that government support is not as strong as it is in other countries. From what I saw in India, for example, and what I also saw in Hong Kong, there is the research and development incentive and export incentive, like export grant, but they are not as easy to access. That's for everyone. Now, as I mentioned, I haven't applied for VC funding, but I know from friends I met in different circumstances in this startup community, that women also found it maybe a bit more difficult. So it's difficult for everyone to raise. More difficult in Australia compared to other countries. Difficult for everyone, but more difficult for women as well. Why? I have no idea, but it's just a fact. So it needs to be addressed somehow. And there are, I know, some VCs which are, focused on helping women to raise funding. As a woman myself in technology, I couldn't say that I met many, issues around being a woman in technology. Maybe because I have a way of expressing my wishes in a way, maybe more like a man. I don't know, but there are not so many women in technology, like we discussed at the beginning. Maybe some young girls just don't go to study science, mathematics and computer science and others. Maybe this seems too dry, or I don't know. When I was a lecturer actually in La Trobe and Monash, I noticed there are quite a few women in doing the studies, like Masters of Computer Science or Information Systems. But I think from what I read that some of those ladies will just drop or look for other sort of jobs after all. Or there is the other side of a coin, they don't find so many jobs, or they don't get, they get rejected, so they lose faith into doing this sort of job. So it's both sides of a coin, I guess. I tried, for example, in my business, which is not very big. We have 7 people, including myself, but they're all men. And I tried to hire, more women in software, in marketing, and I wasn't so lucky to find applicants. So it's quite difficult to say, because I would give opportunities to everyone based on their capabilities, of course. I wouldn't get someone just because it's a man or woman, but there were no applicants. So there were no applicants just because probably there were not people available with those studies when I put the role up. It's not an easy space to be in. To be a woman studying technology and then applying for technology jobs. As I said, in my own career, I didn't meet any problems, but I realized things change in time, so I think now it's a bit more difficult. I would say that they need to follow their dream, their passion. If they feel they like that field, that technology, whatever it is, maybe it's more like science on paper, or maybe it's just building things. Some people are very inclined in doing hardware or doing, very hands-on. Just follow your passion and try to find first a course, like a subject where you can study more, or you can study online as well, many things. If you really like, for example, if you want to study software programming, there are so many courses online, Coursera and everywhere else. So you can study if you want, and then improve sort of your skills, and then go for an internship. Sometime you might find an internship which is not paid, which is very difficult, but it will help you get a foot, in the door to get maybe a role with a company. So it's a matter of being ambitious, I would say, as well, and don't lose faith if maybe you meet with some rejection at the beginning. But if you feel that you have the skills and you have a drive, then you just have to go on. Not necessarily about awards. So awards was thing in the past. I'm not running after awards, to be honest. I don't tend to apply for all sorts of awards. Maybe it's not a good thing, but I might do it in future. What I want is to build the platform to a level where it is already quite solid. So I want to make it more visible to people, to get people to use it and give feedback, and we add more features and more markets and everything as we go. I want to make it a platform where investors can do where they can come for any step of their journey. So if they look for something they want to invest in, they look for advice, they could come and maybe link with investment advisors. If they want to analyze their portfolio, they can use our application. If they want to track how things are going, they can use another application. And so everywhere, at any stage they are in their investment journey, my hope is that they can come to our platform, to LENSELL, and find something useful to them. And as I said, not just for Australian investors, but for everyone. So make it a fully, very solid platform from all investment angles. And I guess if this works as I wish, the awards will come after in form of, just let's say, satisfaction of a thing that this platform can help many people. So that was my initial idea, to create this platform, to democratize access to technology and insight. And the hope is we'll get to that very soon as we grow and help more people. We are different in a way that other applications are very focused on one thing. Like, as I said, there are many trading applications, tens or hundreds maybe. There are many applications that allow you to track your investments. So see how much money you have now, how much dividends you have, or how much tax you have to pay. And there are, of course, financial advisors. So all these are different angles. What we brought different is, first, is that level of portfolio view, which other applications don't have much. They stop at looking at a basket of things. So you have ABC and you have these industries and you made so much money so far and that's it. They don't help you plan. They don't help you try different scenarios. What if I mix A, B and C or D, or what if I sell a bit of this one, add a bit of this one. So and they don't tell you how much risk you take. That's a very important thing which people don't really consider. Many look at investing, like Bitcoin or others. I'm not saying it's not good or bad to invest in cryptocurrencies, but they don't realize they also take very much, very high risks. If you afford to take that risk, go for it. But if you don't, how do you know? How do you know if you mix a bit of everything, you take high, low, medium risk? And maybe you are very, risk taker, you want to take more risk, but you still can take a lot of risk and don't gain so much. So it comes back to science, it comes back to mathematics. So what we brought, to come back to your question, what we brought different is this view of a portfolio with deeper insight, not just superficial, seeing the portfolio like a collection of things, is looking how those things interact with each other and how they all together work to give you a certain expectation of return or whatever your goals are, how you match your goals to that investment. Because of course you invest money hoping to make a good return in future, either for thinking about superannuation, same thing, or with a goal, buy a house or do something, and you want to take low level of risk. You don't want to take high risk, so you don't want to lose your money just because something happened with some fiscal policy. Don't want to lose a lot of money. You cannot predict the future 100%, but you can prepare if you plan a bit and you try different scenarios. You know where you are and what you can expect. So I think, as I mentioned, people just tend to jump into something without looking at what they get into. So they may invest in some, let's say, ETF, or just because it's popular and some other friend or someone told them that it's a good one, or so they maybe just go and put money in investments, hoping that those investments will bring good returns, as I said, and they don't really look at what they get in terms of risk and in terms of how those money are split. For example, if you have $20,000, you can put 10 and 10, 5 and 15, of course, many combinations. So how do you know which one is the best to do? I mean, which combination will give you most returns after all? So this is just for 2. If you have 3 or 4 more, you have so many ways of combining. So just without changing anything, so it's not a matter of this investment is good or bad. You decide yourself, or just follow your financial advisor advice. But how much money you put, nobody will tell you unless you sort of try to figure out yourself how those money will grow for you together. So I think it's not doing things wrong. It's probably not doing enough preparation from this perspective of knowing what you get into. So that will be a good thing for more people to pay attention. It's one of our, as I mentioned at the beginning, one of our applications is called Polaris, was initially done to visualize pollution from companies to government, pollution reports. So those pollution reports are done once a year, and companies, if they pollute above a certain threshold for different toxic substances, and there are 93 on that list, we need to report to government. And government will make that available, it's open data, and we took that and made it, visible. So you can search and say, well, this is on 566 St. Kilda Road, so you see who is polluting around this in 5 kilometers radius around, which businesses pollute. Some of those businesses are listed companies, public companies. So we linked that information about public companies' pollution to diversity view about the financial performance of listed companies and portfolios. And you can look, if you have a portfolio of listed companies where some of them pollute, we can see the footprint. So you can see, well, this portfolio has this expectation of return, let's say 15%, this level of risk, but it also has this footprint. So many polluting substances, so many polluting facilities, which is locations where pollution happens, so much carbon emissions. So now it comes back to you as an investor. If you care about that, you can look and say, well, this portfolio is better from a financial perspective, but not so good as pollution. While this portfolio maybe is not as good in financial performance, so maybe slightly less expectation of return, but is much cleaner. So which one you choose comes back to you as an investor. So yeah, so we want to, part of this platform, which I mentioned, to cover different aspects of an investment journey, we want to cater for these people who are also care about environment and they want to have this both angles, financial and non-financial. So we integrated the two applications. We, from our part, we try to bring more technology and make more sort of unique insight available. So instead of going just traditionally, you want to have different information to base your decisions. Now, what you consider is up to you as an investor. I would think with AI, like we discussed earlier, all sorts of other applications will be available. All sorts of information, insight will be available, and what you use is up to you. So it comes back to a bit of financial education, a sense of not just going to invest in something, but use these analytics tools that exist, ours or others, to make a better informed decision from different angles. Investment analytics can exist as much as can be created, invented, but it's also a matter of people to use it so they can make better decisions, so they can lose less. Because you always hear in the news or media that market crashed or something happened or that company closed or bankrupt, or the other company depends on some policies from US or some geopolitics things happening, and it will impact your portfolio in one way or another. So then, are you prepared for that? Do you know, again, what level of risk you take? Do you know if, for example, your company, you think it's in Australia, has maybe exposure to other countries? So if things happen in those countries, you are affected, impacted. So it comes back again, as I said, to a bit more spending time to understand because you work a lot, hard for your money, spending a bit of time to understand what you put your money in. So my line is that it is a research-driven investment technology platform. So we build technology that is informed by research. Previous research, like I mentioned, Harry Markowitz or others, or current research, our own research, where we find new things that can be used. So it's research-driven investment technology. So our third application, I guess you make reference to that one. So it's called Table Bits, and actually it's very utilitarian tool. We created just because in Australia the financial reporting system is a bit outdated as well. So we discussed about VC and others. This is outdated in a sense that companies report in PDF. So they create their financial statements in whatever tools they have and they put them together in nice PDFs. And for very large companies, you end up with 200 pages or more PDF. Part of that PDF will be financial statements, which investors or research analysts and others need to use to make decisions, to do different analytics. For example, if you do valuation for a business, you need to consider a lot of line items from financial statements. And because it's in PDF, it's very difficult to extract. If you just copy and paste, doesn't work as well. There are for tools like Adobe Acrobat or others which can do that, but they don't do it on a scale, so you can do it one by one. So we built this tool again to speed up things. So it's not as innovative, or it is in a way, but it's not so exciting like DiversiView optimization engine, but it's very useful because you can upload a set of PDFs and extract tables like financial statements from those PDFs and speed up your work. And unfortunately, it is needed. It's still needed. So we have so much technology again, but people still deal with financial statements in PDF. So they have to do this work manually. So I spoke with some research analysts who cannot do more than a few companies, every month or every week, because they have to do this manually, and it's time consuming. And so what they do is they just pick 10 or 20 they care about during the year, and they don't consider others. And in a way, probably this is why you'll find that many reports and valuation reports you find online and advice from financial analysts are for a limited set of like big businesses, big companies, maybe ISEX 100 or 200. But you cannot do it as a scale because it's not digital. What happens internationally, there is an international digital reporting standard called XBRL, where in US and Europe and India and China and many countries, I mean, a lot of countries, they report digitally. So companies log into a system, they report the same financial statements through digital format to their regulators. So then the regulators will make it available and to other people, investors or others, to use it. Free or for money, it doesn't matter, but it is available. While in Australia, that's not the case. You can buy the financial statements as PDFs, or you can download online. So yeah, that's still a problem in a way. We don't try to solve it at a scale. We really created for ourselves first, for DiversiView, to add more financial information behind our analytics. But we saw that there is a need, including in academia. So many researchers have to do research about financial data, and they don't really have access to those databases, so they need to extract manually. So we help them with those tools to help them speed up the work and do the research.
But I saw it.
How they can use technology.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, institutional investors will have access to much more. So they have in-house tools they use. Sometimes, some of those tools may be available to retail investors, like on big platforms, Bloomberg or others.
Yeah.
But it's very expensive. So again, it comes back to your level of maybe financial possibility, but also level of expertise or financial knowledge. Some people will afford to buy licenses, or some small businesses, like advisory businesses, will afford to buy licenses, but most people will not afford. So they all end up looking for tools like ours or others who are more affordable. So in a way, as I said, the democratization is affordable as well. So technology, because like we discussed about AI, it's now available to everyone, ChatGPT, DeepSeek and others, everyone uses it everywhere. Financial technology is not available to everyone. It's very, very specialized, and only big houses have it. And there is no need to be like that. We should make it available to everyone. So this is why we said, well, that same technology, the same brains behind this technology can be made available to other people. So we took the research and put the brains and make available to people. So how they can compete? Probably it's not fair to say they can compete, because institutional investors have much more expertise and professional knowledge behind. But at least retail investors should have access to the same insight, data, technology. They may not make as good decisions, maybe sometimes as institutional investors, but they should have access to the tools to try to do that. If they don't have access to the technology or data or available online or in any way, they cannot attempt to to compete in any way. So I would say it's not really, it's a way of doing the best you can with data and technology without trying to compete with big institutions. To be honest, I mean, you cannot really compete, but you should be able to have access to more information. So in our platform, we what I want is to, as I mentioned, to make it full of a platform that will serve all needs of an investor. So whether you start and you want some ideas what to invest in or some recommendations, or you want to look for environmentally friendly investments or some other type of filters you may have for yourself as an investor, or you want to build a portfolio, you want to execute, buy, sell, and then manage your portfolio in time and come back to it, some frequency, either monthly, yearly, whatever you want to do. So I want to have this platform where everything is available. So you just pick what you need. You will not need everything all the time. So pick what you need in terms of insight or information, insight and tools. And the other side is that I want to add more markets. As I mentioned, I think people nowadays, especially all this globalization, want to invest in different places, and there are many opportunities in different continents, different countries, and want to have this cross-market portfolio analysis, cross-market tools to help people from different countries. So it's not, again, democratization at the level of availability, affordability, and also this accessibility to different markets. So we take this seriously, and first we use Amazon cloud services to host our applications and our databases, so they have that level of security on the server. Then there is another level of security, like of course, like usually username, passwords, and so on. And then there is also two-factor authentication. We try to have more levels of security and backup and disaster kind of recovery and things like that. So we make sure that you can access the tool anytime. Now, from a perspective of data, let's say we don't store private data, so everything users upload is just their holdings and percentages, holdings, how much they have in different investments, allocations. In future, we may add some features which might be require more private data, but like say amount of money or portfolio value or things like that, which people will need to share if they want to access some features. And for those, we'll make sure we have secure database, secure access, so people cannot just see what you cannot steal the information. Don't transact. No, we don't transfer or accept any sort of funds. It's not a like of investment fund where you get money and store somewhere and invest on behalf of an investor. So it's purely a technology where you just do portfolio analytics. Again, if in future we'll add some more features which require more like license or more even more security, we'll add those. But for now, it's simply analytics. And again, one angle is like people buy some of our features for when we use Stripe and other integrations where they have their own level of security. So we don't store credit cards. So we always make sure even small things like this, you need to make sure it's there, so people are not worried about their safety or their data. One thing, for example, which was very interesting, is about this TableBits application. It can be used for anything, not just for financial statements from our reports. It could be used, for example, to extract tables from your bill or from like bank statements. So you can extract that, put it in Excel, and do whatever calculations you want to do. So that is a sensitive information. So we don't store that either. So we just store it until the user will download the files, and then we delete it. So I think it's a matter of figuring out each step where things could have go wrong, and just address it with security and rules around data governance. So from the ESG part, we took the environmental first. So we look at this portfolio from the environmental footprint, as I mentioned earlier. So if you want to invest in a sustainable portfolio, the angle we can offer at this moment is environmental footprint. So we don't have yet information about the social aspects or governance. We may add in future, but for now we just look at the sustainability from an environmental perspective. It's very important. It's just a matter of having the time and resources to add all these features. And as we speak with different users and clients, we understand what they need more, because this is also a thing we need to consider. Being a small company with limited resources, we can only do as much. But we understand everything what's needed and required by users, and then we plan to develop in future. For young entrepreneurs, I would say follow your passion and dream. It's not easy. It's a very challenging journey, but also very motivating and rewarding journey. So it's not about money. It's about feeling that you solve something, a problem, or you create a product, or you do something that is useful for society and for yourself.